2, 3.
Yeah, you are. Now you're walking back to the trailer. So why are you calling me on peak time when I'm right across the street from you? Bye. I'm from Kissimmee, Florida. This is a friend of the family right here, and I came down 2 weeks after the hurricane, and I thought I was coming down for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I've been here since. Well, the lot that they're clearing here is for a gentleman that's about 75 years old. The reason why he's having it cleaned by volunteers rather than the Corps of Engineers, because after Hurricane Betsy, when the Corps of Engineers came in and cleaned his property, they actually caused more damage than what was caused by the hurricane. So he was determined to do it himself. And for these folks, a lot of these folks don't, they're not depending on the government or the Corps of Engineers because it's just they're not getting the job done. More work has been done here by volunteers and church groups than anything. I mean, I'd say you've got probably about 30 lots from here to the beach, and out of the 30 lots, probably 12 to 15 of them were cleared by volunteers or individuals. If it wasn't for volunteers and Corps of the volunteers in the church groups, not only Waveland, just the Gulf Coast would look very much like it did after the hurricane. You know, it's like the government's turned their back on the people, and I mean, you're talking people who were. I voted for the first Bush, voted for the second Bush, voted for his brother as governor of our state. Wouldn't vote for another one of them as long as I live. At what point are they going to sit back and say, enough of the BS? Let's go down and help the people. You know, like I said, they can drop food in other countries all in a matter of 24 hours. They had people in this area alone that was 3 and 4 weeks before they saw another person. You know, and why is that? How can that be in the United States?
Makes me feel any better. My dad in Nebraska, when he heard that Bush, he flew around to see all the damage. He was pissed. He did the same thing. He voted for him, but he was just talking shit. Like,
even if he comes and spends a day, not here, just somewhere to show that you. I mean, like I said, they just come down here for photo ops. They find some little person that's gonna sit back and say, "Oh, you're so wonderful." You go talk to 90% of people here, and you tell me. I tell you what, 90% of people here, you find me 10% of them that have anything good to say about this federal government's response to this. One of the saddest things is back in November, first of all, towards the end of September, they pulled the military out. That's only 2 months after the hurricane. Back in November, in December, they started pulling out the Red Cross. I mean, they were pulling out people when the need was going to be here for a long time. I mean, I'll give you a fine example. Right here. The gentleman lost everything. Everything. Applies for something from FEMA. He doesn't qualify. How can you, you've just lost everything that you own. How can you not qualify?
See, they did search and rescue down here for about the first 10 days. It's kind of an eerie experience. And for the first 10 days, it was just a blaze down here. Lights, searchlights, floodlights, flyovers. They were searching. They were looking.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, they were looking.
It'd be so weird.
Well, what was weird was that one morning I got up and there were no more lights.
oh, they're doing that.
Yeah, that was kind of, they quit. They've done all they figure they can do. But as far as I know, Long Beach came out pretty good. I don't think we lost anybody on our street. I haven't heard of that. We didn't know what had happened west of us. Even the emergency communications were down. The cops couldn't even talk to each other
Yeah.
for days. We had no idea what happened to past Christiane, Waveland, Bay St. Louis. The bridges are down. We're completely isolated from the south. We got to try to get all the way up north and I-10 and come back around. I mean, this is bad enough. You know, a quarter to a half a mile inland for 120 miles is bad enough.
Yeah.
25 homes on my street is bad enough. Times. You know, at 28 and a half feet, my house is sitting on a mountain. New Orleans is 5 feet below sea level for the contrast. You know, we weren't looking for trouble. People in New Orleans were looking for trouble. But when my father bought that place, that was one of the very important things to him. What's this elevation on this property? And he was the type of man that he knew what he had before he bought it. Smart man.
Yeah.
And you know what? The best answer I can give you is this. You go take a look at that. You take a look at this place, and you imagine this place with 5 foot of furniture and everything turned upside down, full of tree limbs, mud, and everything else. And you'll have an idea of what my house looked like 6 months ago. 6 months ago, my wife and I didn't know if we would be allowed to come back to our home. Like Mo, we didn't know. I mean, our future at that point was as uncertain, as fluid as you can imagine. The point I'm getting to, look how far the Lord has brought me.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm getting to. So am I going to rebuild? You bet. God's rebuilding that house right there, right now. Not FEMA, not my insurance company. My brothers and sisters that the good Lord has sent down here to do this. And that's a joint blessing that I've shared with I don't know how many. I really don't know how many hands have been on my home. It's been an awesome experience.
And I didn't stay here because I was told that it wouldn't be safe. I need to move across the tracks, and moving across the tracks meant that you're up to a higher elevation. So I moved 4 blocks across the tracks, and that still didn't help. The water was still up above my to my neck, and I thought I was going to die, but I was able to climb up with the water taking me up. I got into the attic, but I knocked my front teeth out in the bottom, but I felt very lucky I was alive. If you'd seen it before, you couldn't even get in here. Some of these things we can upholster, some of these old antique chairs, so I have kept a few of them. My grandmother's chair, which is this rocking chair here, when it came back from the storm, it was sitting in the sink, and I asked somebody, why is it in the sink? They said that's where the hurricane took it. All this will have to be refinished and taken down, and it's going to, like I say, it's going to take about a year, maybe 2, to get this house back in shape. I have an interesting background. I was in education for 18 years. I was an administrator of personnel when I left and went into the casino business. I was given the opportunity to be a VP down here, a VP of personnel, so that's why I came down here. And I like it here, except the only thing I don't like is the gnats. I've been here about a year, so I will restore all this Made mentioned that what hurt me more, a lot of these people, they took their houses completely down, so they got all the money. Here, the way it's still sitting, I've only gotten 25 cents on the dollar from the insurance company. And so you can't put it back together unless you can come up with the other 75%. And the insurance company won't cover it because I didn't have flood insurance. Yeah, it depresses me to come in here. A lot of this stuff is salvageable. I'm not married, so I have to find a woman, marry her, in order to figure out what to keep. You can see how far the water, that's where the water line was. 9.5 feet. This is 10 feet, 10 feet in the house there. I used to be a Democrat when I was a kid, and then when I got to be a school principal, I found out that the community I was in, everybody was Republican. Well, I became a Republican. I wasn't crazy enough to stay being a Democrat. Well, I think being a somewhat educated person, the government, this is a catastrophe for them, but 4 weeks later, they had another catastrophe somewhere else. And so, you know, it's not that they don't want to help you, it's just that it's one right after another. I think if the Democrats were in, they'd have the same problem.
Levees, not bombs! Levees, not bombs! Levees, not bombs! Levees, not bombs! Levees, not bombs!
Make levees, not bombs! Make levees, not bombs! Make levees, not bombs!
And welcome to New Orleans. Thank you all so much. Thanks for all the support. We knew we can do it, just as we know that we can stand together on a common ground and save ourselves. We will bring the survivors back home, and we will not stop until we get our troops home. Thank you so much, and keep up the work.
I arrived August 1st, and both my church and my home were flooded, but I am still here, and I am deeply, deeply honored to be in front of you today because I was not expecting it. But I wanted to tell you that the Unitarians, Universalists support this cause, and we have for a very long, long time, like the Quakers, fought for peace. We have burned draft cards in our churches. We have been sanctuaries for decades, and we continue to support this cause, and we will continue to support it. And one of the things I was struck by the name of this march, Walking to New Orleans, is the feeling that it might come to that, to bring back the folks of New Orleans who are not getting the opportunity to come back. I was attracted to New Orleans as a Latina lesbian from the barrio of New York City because of its multiculturalism, and I will fight to bring it back. I am with you on that.
You know, 6 months ago, Katrina hit our shores, hit the Gulf Coast of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and the great city of New Orleans. What we saw, we were saddened by. We saw images of a hurricane-devastated area along the Gulf Coast. We saw cities flooded, rising waters through New Orleans. We saw people trapped in situations of emergency, unable to leave due to their incomes. We saw black people looting and white people discovering food.
I signed up in 1998 to be a citizen soldier, to serve my community. But when my community needed me the most, I was in Iraq, serving a 13-month sentence. On 9/11, we were the first unit activated. We were the first unit on ground at 9/11. I personally stayed there weeks. I cleared rubble, I cleared debris. Our infantry worked as quick reaction task force wherever they were needed in the city. Our military police worked side by side with NYPD, guiding traffic, doing whatever was needed. Our mortuary affairs teams worked with the FBI in the morgues at 9/11. Our drivers drove trucks. We did whatever we needed to do because we were there. But as I watched from a TV screen in Tikrit, Iraq, I couldn't do that for you, and I'm sorry.